Hey legends, what's up? It's Darkmech here from Big Dumb Gaming, and the Mage Tower's out. And it's different from PTR than it was to live. And now more changes have gone through the Mage Tower. So I'm scrapping everything and I'm just making a brand new, accurate, up-to-date Blood DK Mage Tower guide. And I'm going to cover everything off that you need to do this, that's accurate, that's all in the one spot. So video breakdown, we're going to cover off talents, consumables, macros, gearing, the gear that I used, what works and what doesn't work. And then we're going to break down phase 1 mechanics and phase 2 mechanics. And then I'm going to walk you through the fight that I did, my kill video on the live servers. Because when I put out this video first, it was from PTR footage, and you know, it's obviously been tuned up from there and everyone went sort of Barney bananas about that. A hotfix has gone in this morning where the Nether horrors no longer move when casting Netherstorm. In my kill video, the ads do move while casting it, which only made it harder. So there's no issues with that being in the footage. You just have an easier time in dealing with the ads now. So don't complain about that. So talents wise, let's start off here. Okay guys, so talents, level 15 Blood Drinker or Heartbreaker. Cruel is basically where you are going to win and lose this fight, and you have to beat Cruel to beat it anyway, so this is where you want to put the most emphasis on bringing talents that suit this application. So Blood Drinker is the best choice here due to the single target boost you're going to get in damage and the small drain from Blood Drinker. It is also just really nice being able to cast it while you're on the move somewhere, if you're moving to an orb, if you're moving around a cutter beam. It is also great for drawing threat on the ads as well when they're coming out. So Blood Drinker is the best choice you can make here. However, if you do not want to manage another ability, Heartbreaker is also a really nice choice here. You will gain some value off the ads with your Heart Strikes and getting extra runic power, and the damage difference between them isn't going to be sort of a make or break point. So pick whichever you're most comfortable with, but I would advise Blood Drinker. Level 25 Hemostasis, as it has been for all of Shadowlands, and so it shall be forever while this talent remains on a row. You just pick it and you don't choose anything else. Level 30 Relish in Blood or Blood Tap. Now Relish in Blood is more than a fine default pick here. It's set and forget, you don't have to do anything different. I used Relish in Blood and had zero fucking issues whatsoever. Blood Tap, if you want to min-max, is better. As long as you're using your charges, it's great in phase 2 as well, especially if you need the ability to get resources back for rune taps with your Annihilate management. But otherwise, if you don't want to manage it, Relish in Blood is fine. Level 35, Will of the Necropolis. No changes here. It's too strong not to choose. Will of the Necropolis. Level 40, Grip of the Dead or Wraithwork. So Grip of the Dead was originally really strong with the Nether horror ads because you could slow them. So when they would go to cast Netherstorm, you would drop D&D and you would be able to slow them and get distance on them to avoid getting blown up by the storm. Now the ads stop in place, so Grip of the Dead doesn't have as much value in this. Wraithwalk isn't bad if you want another mobility option to get to orbs and things like that. Just keep in mind with Wraithwalk though, it won't negate any of the infernal knockbacks or anything like that. So don't take it thinking that that's a way out of that, but it is an option now that's on the row. Level 45 Voracious or Bloodworms. Voracious is just a really solid pick here. It's really valuable when things start to get quite serious in phase 2. Bloodworms is a better damage option, but unfortunately Bloodworms tend to die really quickly through this with infernal pulse damage and things like that. You have a worm spawn and it dies to the pulse damage, then the talent's just a dead talent on the row that's doing nothing for you, whereas you're getting some gain from Voracious. Level 50 Red Thirst or Bone Storm. Now, two choices here. So I was actually really sort of on the fence here as to which one I would go for, especially with the ads moving. Now that they don't, I think Red Thirst is just your absolute default pick and you don't really even need to worry about Bone Storm. Red Thirst in phase 2 is really nice, and even in phase 1, just having further access to vampiric blood when you need it throughout the fight. Bone Storm is really nice though if you are struggling to get the ads down before they're doing significant amount of damage to you via Psi Talons and things like that. So Bone Storm is an absolutely viable choice. I don't think it's required though, and I think you're better off taking Red Thirst. Consumables. So let's dive into these. So Goblin Glider Kits. So if you're an engineer, ensure you have a glider on your cloak. If you're not an engineer, ensure that you have a stack of Goblin Glider Kits in your bag. They are extremely valuable and allow you to recover from mistakes when you lose focus with Infernal Smashes or Eye Knockbacks if you're not facing them when the beam finishes and you go sailing off the platform. A Goblin Glider Kit can save you, so make sure you have them. Drums. All drums actually provide the same benefit in time walking, so use whichever are cheapest on the auction house. Drums of the Deathly Ferocity are the current ones. Just make sure that you have them. You're always going to drums when Cruel comes down in phase 2, never in phase 1. Cruel's the damage check. You need to beat him before he smashes you with enough annihilates that you can't take another one, and that is pretty much it. Scrolls, so there's 3 types of BFA scrolls. 2 are applicable to us: War Scroll of Battle Shout and War Scroll of Fortitude. So if you've got access to them, they're a nice little solid boost as well. Runes, so Augment Runes will give you +5 primary stats. So your Veiled Augment Rune from Shadowlands, the Lightforged Augment Rune, which was the reusable one from Legion, and any other runes that are available, they're all +5 primary stat. Pots, you got a few options here. So Potion of Unbridled Fury is doing stupid levels of damage at the moment and is your absolute go-to choice. Potion of Prolonged Power is not a bad choice. It's 40 primary for 60 seconds. BFA Pots, the Superior Battle Potion of Strength, will give you 105 primary for 25 seconds, so that's gig. And then Shadowlands, the Spectral Strength Potion will only give you 54 primary for 25 seconds. So if you're going down Shadowlands consumable route, go with the Potion of Phantom Fire instead. Health pot perspective, Legion Health Pots, the Astral Healing Potion are your best bang for buck, 4,950 health from them. Then the Abyssal Healing Potion from BFA, and then third Shadowlands Spiritual Healing Pot there. Weapon oil, you're going to go with Shadow Core oil. Flasks wise, BFA Flask is the best one at the moment, +31 primary stat from the Greater Flask of the Undertow. Legion Flask Countless Army will get you 21 primary, and if you can't be bothered with any of that, your Shadowlands Flask will get you 20 primary. Food wise, BFA Borealis Blood Sausage will get you 13 primary. Mr. Pandaria Sea Mist Rice Noodles will get you 10 primary. The Shadowlands Feast of the Gluttonous Hedonism will get you 7 primary. And versatility wise, otherwise you can go with the Shadowlands Sweet Silver Grill Sausage and get 18 versatility out of that. Lastly, armor kits. You just want to stick with your Heavy Desolate armor kit and you'll get 10 stamina out of that, and that's your best bang for buck there. Talking about macros now, guys. So there's 2 important macros that you need for this tower if you don't already have them, and that is a focus macro for Mind Freeze and a focus macro for Asphyxiate. So in phase 1, your focus target will be Varus, and in phase 2, your focus target will be Cruel when he comes down, and these macros will allow you to interrupt the Drain Life and the Twisted Reflection or delay Annihilates without having to worry about what you are clicking on, what you are selecting. If you're murking an ad or something like that and the air horn goes off in your ear, you can just press your button and know that it will kick what you need it to kick or stun what you need it to stun. So enchants are going to depend on what gear you have. Now, if you have gone and farmed out a bunch of sockets from things like Throne of Thunder, Siege of Orgrimmar, Tomb of Sargeras, Antorus, any of that kind of stuff, your main aim is to have gear that are as close to level 50 as possible. Being below level 50 will mean that you can apply certain enchants. It also means that you lose out on a bit of stamina, as if the gear is over 50, you won't be missing out from that stamina. So Throne of Thunder and Siege of Orgrimmar gear will have you at around the level 45 mark. And then TOS will have you much closer bang on to that level 50 mark, or it might be level 50 LFR and normal. So if you're in a position where you've gone and done this and you've got mass sockets and you're going to enchant your gear, then this is the list that you're going to sort of be running off. So neck wise, you've got a couple of choices: Hidden Satire, Mark of the Claw, or Trained Soldier. I'm pretty sure Hidden Satire has taken a fair few nerfs, so Trained Soldier or Mark of the Claw would be the way to go. Shoulders, Greater Tiger Fang Inscription, but I think your shoulders have to be level below level 48, I want to say, for Greater Tiger Fang Inscription. Cloak, Fortified Leech. Chest, Eternal Stats. Wrists, Exceptional Strength. Hands, Eternal Strength. Belt, you're going to put a Living Steel belt buckle on there. Leg enchant, Anger Hide, leg armor. Feet, put greater assault on there, and rings, a quarter versatility, and 10 in a versatility. And then your weapon, of course, is just going to have Rune of the Fallen Crusader, because why would we ever get a choice to use anything else? All right, along with all that fantastic gear that you've gone and grinded out, if you've gone down that route, you're going to want to put some gems in all those sockets. So gem-wise, your meta gem, you're going to go with either a Reverberating Primal Diamond from Mr. Pandaria or a Reverberating Shadow Spirit Diamond from Cataclysm. Strength gems-wise, +7 strength Leviathan's Eye, +6 strength Kraken's Eye, +6 strength Saber's Eye, or a +4 strength Bold Queen's Garnet. The options you can take, +3 strength is also fine if everything's too expensive. Otherwise, just stick with your Shadowlands gear and use your verse gems. Now, gearing wise, I'm not going to give you guys a best in slot time walking set made up through all the ages and chromey time walking gear and all this kind of stuff. If you want to make that effort, go nuts, but honestly, it's not really required. If you have a bit of gold though, and you are willing to part with it, you can get some pretty easy boosts from this via the Crafted Gladiator PvP armor set. The helm will give you access to a meta gem. I think the chest and legs have 2 sockets each. Remember to get your Pridas out of the bank if you got it in Legion, because that's going to have decent secondaries on it and a slot on the neck for you as well. And I'm just going to segue that into covering off the gear that I used for this. So looking at the gear that I used for this now, which is on the screen. So I only purchased the Crafted Dreadful Gladiator's helmet just to get a meta gem. So the meta gem that I had running in my helmet was the Reverberating Primal Diamond. So the 3 strength and 3% increased critical strike effect. And I put a 4 strength gem in there. So that's the piece of PvP gear I bought just to have a meta gem. You can go all out in that and buy shoulders, chest, and fill it with strength gems if you like. It will only give you a slight edge. It's not going to be the difference though. These towers are extremely mechanically orientated for your success rather than just straight gear push, but certain items certainly do help. I'm not saying they don't. My Pridas here. So you can see nice secondaries on that. It's got a slot on it. I've got Trained Soldier on there, and I've got a 6 strength gem in there. Didn't have anything else down here. These are just Shards of Domination and things like that. Had a versatility gem in my belt and nothing else going on anywhere else. Weapon wise, I used Hellscream's Decapitator. So these were the Siege of Orgrimmar heirlooms if you've got access to them or you have them. So Enchanted Rune of the Fallen Crusader. I got a 7 strength and a 6 strength gem in there. And nice amount of primary on that. It's a really nice weapon to have in the challenge mode. The biggest 2 things in here, pocket size computation device. So I'll get to trinkets in a second, but just covering off my gear now, this trinket absolutely bangs. So the Cyclonic Blast will deal anywhere from 6 to 9% damage to Varus, and a decent chunk to Cruel. Obviously not that much to Cruel because Cruel's health pool is gigantic. But yeah, the pocket size computation device, if you have this, get it. I deleted mine, went to Mechagon the other day, farmed out one and recrafted it really quickly. So worth it. Went into Junkyard 0, just got a yellow punch card for it, and that's it. So that trinket is absolutely just gangbusters. Get it. The second trinket I used was the Grondtooth Warhorn. This is an heirloom trinket from Warlords of Draenor, and it is absolutely fantastic for this challenge as well. 3 secondaries on it, a strength proc. It's not 42 strength like it says on here. Once it's in the Mage Tower, it's scaled down. But the biggest thing on this trinket is that you can get a buff that increases all damage against demons by 10% for 15 seconds. Now, Varus is a demon and Cruel is a demon, which obviously is pretty self-explanatory. The good thing about this is you can get a killing blow on the eyes and the ads, which can extend the buff by 8 seconds. So in phase 1, sometimes you can have crazy uptime, like around 60%. Phase 2 is going to drop off, and obviously you're RNGing around getting procs or not to your damage windows and things like that. And sometimes it won't proc. I think on my kill, I had, a much lower uptime around sort of 30%. But that's still a lot of extra damage. And if you get lucky and have really high uptime attempts, then they can really be sort of your kill attempts. Just to finish up on gear around trinkets. So trinket wise, if you're sort of really searching for what to use here, the unstable Arcano crystal, if you've got one of them, or earthworm Jim is up in Legion, go and kill him for a chance at that. It's a really strong trinket. Blood spatter scale is worth a mention. It's not as good as it was on PTR, but it's still really nice in dealing a little bit of extra damage into the ads when needed, or Cruel's Annihilates. Shard of Analyze Aegis. I don't know if I said that right, but anyway, let's move on. Really nice on the ads and nice with Annihilates. Pocket-sized computation device, as I mentioned, is absolutely poggers. Reactive Defense Matrix is also nice. The Grondtooth Warhorn is amazing for reasons I've covered off. Chipped Soul Prism from Warlords of Draenor from Doomlord Kazak is another solid option, so sort of stat stick with some strength. And the last thing that's been getting going around pretty well, I haven't sort of seen a lot on it, but the Ravaged Seed Pod from, I think, the first boss in Emerald Nightmare is actually apparently going fairly hard as well. So a couple of options to choose from there, but if you do have access to the Grondtooth Warhorn and a pocket computation device, absolutely run with them. So what doesn't work in the Mage Tower? So what doesn't work is any form of borrowed power. So no Legion legendaries, no tier sets, no old PvP sets, anything like that. They don't work. They're all deactivated, Covenant abilities, all that kind of stuff. You're virtually on your own. And then there's some gimmicky pieces that you can use to make this substantially easier, which, you know, you could say a lot more on. Okay guys, so let's break down the fight now. So let's start with phase one. Phase one and things that you need to know. So phase one is you fighting Inquisitor Varus, and it revolves all around managing the stacks of Aura of Decay you build up whilst you are attacking Varus in the Aura of Decay circle. You need to kick the Drain Life as soon as that happens, and then the biggest other focus you've got is to kill the Nether Horrors that spawn before they go and wreck Valen. You will also have Infernals and Eyes trying to knock you off the platform as well. So, important things in this phase, Aura of Decay. So Inquisitor Varus is surrounded by a big black bad circle. When you enter this circle, you start gaining stacks of Aura of Decay, which reduces your max HP, and it continues to stack. I'd recommend going to around 4 to 5 stacks of this and then getting out every time, waiting for it to drop off, and then going back in. Mind Rend, this is an interruptible cast that deals moderate damage, and honestly, as long as you don't let your stacks of Aura of Decay go too high, you can let these go through. I wouldn't recommend generally using your Mind Freeze on any Mind Rends. I would save that for Drain Life, but as long as you save something for Drain Life, you are okay. Keep in mind that if you take higher stacks of Aura of Decay, you can get out and you can AMS and you can AMZ and stand in it to negate some of that damage. Drain Life, this is the heal. You have to kick it. If a couple of ticks get off, don't panic. It's okay. It just prolongs phase one a little bit, but just make sure you kick it. Focus macro, easy. Tormenting Eyes. These are eyes that will spawn and lock onto you with a beam. Now, after the channel finishes, if you are not facing the eye that is beaming you, you will get punted off to Narnia. Now, it's really important that you either face the eyes if you're not going to kill them, or if you are going to kill them, try and clip them with Blood Boil as you're going past to continue your stacks of hemostasis, rather than just running around and sinking loads of runes via Death's Caress into them to kill them. Smoldering Infernals. These ads spawn in phase one and carry through to phase two. They don't actually die. They walk around pulsing damage, which in turn drains their own health, and they will do this large frontal smash. And if you get hit by the smash, you go flying into Narnia as well. Never, ever waste time DPSing the Infernals. Just get them out of the way and let them walk around slowly pulsing their damage and kill themselves. They'll banish, they'll reanimate, and they'll do it again. Nether Horrors. So these spawn in phase one and phase two also, and this has been a large sort of point of conjecture in the Mage Tower challenge since PTR to live and now the hotfix we've seen now. They stack a debuff when they are hitting you called Psy Talons, and this increases your arcane damage taken by 10% per stack. They will also cast an ability called Netherstorm, which is pulsing damage. It's a 6-second channel. Now, they no longer move anymore. So when this goes off, as long as it is not on an NPC, like Valen or Corvos, you don't have to do anything. Just run away from them. That's all you have to do. And then kill them. Lastly, Prophet Valen. So Valen will create these healing orbs. These orbs instantly heal you and clear your debuffs. They don't clear Aura of Decay though, okay? But they'll clear anything else. It also interrupts and blinds all enemies once you run into the orb. You need to use these orbs wisely in phase 1 and same in phase 2. Now keep in mind that Valen will do everything in his power to ensure that you fuck up and wipe in this Mage Tower challenge by trying to get himself killed. So you really need to keep an eye not only on your own health, but Valen's as well in regards to using orbs. Use the orbs though if you can't get to a Drain Life kick, with Cruel if you need to delay Annihilates, if you can't kick a Twisted Reflection. If Twisted Reflection goes off and you can get straight into an orb, you have the ability to clear off debuffs and you will actually still be able to continue it, but you have to be really, really quick in doing that. Generally, you want to try and go into phase 2 with 2 orbs up if possible. Okay guys, phase 2. So once you kill Inquisitor Varus, Cruel comes down and now the fight sort of gets serious. So the eyes will no longer spawn in phase 2, but you will still have the Nether Horrors and you will still have the Infernals. You will have these brand new Cutter Beams trying to push you off the platform. And now you no longer just have one NPC trying to commit Harry Carry, you've got 2. So this phase is all about fight visuals, mechanics, and Blizzard trying to overwhelm you with a bunch of WoW stuff while Cruel tries to annihilate you with Annihilate. See what I did there? Shut up. So, High Lord Cruel will belt you with Annihilate, which is a large physical damage hit. This debuff stacks, and every subsequent Annihilate that comes after it continues to hit harder and harder and harder until you end up not being able to take any more and you die. You need to have a plan to manage your Annihilates out. You can generally take 4 to 5 successful hits. So a roadmap to Annihilates for you guys would be the first one, nothing. You're always going to have your Bone Shield up, some Runic Powder DS afterwards, you're Gucci. Second one, I'd use Vampiric Blood. Third one would be Rune Tap. Fourth one would be Rune Tap and Icebound Fortitude. And the fifth one would be Rune Tap and Vampiric Blood. In between all these, you want to be using your Asphyxiate. You want to be using Orbs to delay him. And you should only get 3 or 4. You shouldn't have a need to get to a 5th successful hit of Annihilate. Twisted Reflection is an ability that Cruel will cast. Failure Interrupted, as I said, if you can't get to an orb like in a nanosecond, will pretty much kill your attempt. He will heal if that gets off, and you don't have a lot of time in this fight to make it go longer. And the last thing with Cruel is his Nether Stomp. So he will jump on you and leave a giant green fell circle, which deals fire damage. You need to get out of these ASAP if you are in them. So that is it, guys. That's the whole kit and caboodle. I'm going to bring up the fight now, and I'm going to walk you through the fight, and hopefully we'll put all this stuff that we've talked about into a form that makes sense for you in a practical application, and we'll go from there. Okay guys, so we are inside the tower here. So phase 1, High Lord's Return. So here is my gear. I'm just going to pause it on the screen really quickly so you can see my gear here that I showed you. Nothing different, all the same. I'm going to set Varus as my focus target here. If you're wondering why I'm already in the gear, is I'd killed it, I forgot to press record, and then I killed it. I've killed it a couple of times until I got one that I was happy with for YouTube, because you always have to look better than you are. That's the whole thing. So Varus coming out here, I've set him as my focus target. I am going to run in. I'm going to Blood Drinker while I'm closing the gap, Dancing Rune Weapon while that's going off to save myself the GCD, and then just attacking him. Drain Life going off. I'm going to interrupt him with my focus, Mind Freeze, and then I'm going to build up to about 5 stacks of Aura of Decay, and then I'm going to get out. Now, a couple of things I really want to address really quickly. There's a lot of crap on my screen. The reason being is I was trying out 3 different tank weak auras at the time to find out sort of what I liked for myself. And what I wanted to, bring into my own and things like that. And then I left them all on the screen. So that's why there's so many things tracking like eyes and things like that. But that's just the way it goes. Now, one thing I want to talk about with Blood Drinker, try and use Blood Drinker whenever you're moving either into Varus or out of Varus. And what I mean by that is don't be taking stacks of Aura of Decay and sitting in there channeling Blood Drinker. You want to use that when you're moving in or moving out of Aura of Decay to drop stacks, so you can get the most of your uptime when you are on Varus in Aura of Decay. So you can see here, this is one of the eyes beaming at me here. This is the beam. So I need to make sure that I am staring at this eye when this cast finishes here, or you can see it on the weak aura. And if I'm not, I will get punted backwards. These shadow doors coming down the bottom here, these are where the nether horrors are going to come out. So they're going to spawn now. So I'm going to cyclonic blast, and I just want to show you guys how much damage cyclonic blast actually does there. So you can see here I'm about to do it. So 88% HP on Inquisitor Varus there. I blast him, and you know, a good nearly 10%. I'm going to say 10% damage there with the tick on the end there. So 10% with cyclonic, it's pretty crazy. Adds have spawned. I've clipped this first one here, so the rest are going to run over to me. I've used I think I used a Marrow Rend and a Blood Boil or something on it. Now Nether Storm's coming up. This is the important thing about the ads. Okay, now you guys don't have to worry about them moving anymore. Whenever you go to stun the ads with an orb, if they are on you or an NPC, make sure you try and do it as close to their cast going off as you can. If you can do it when the channel actually starts, they won't recast it. It just depends if they're standing on top of an NPC as to how much time you've got to do that, and if you can kill them before they come out of the disorientate, as to if you stun them early and risk a recast, or stun them into the channel and know your NPC will live. So you can see here when it goes, this 3-second Nether Storm cast is the build up. Then after that will be a 6-second channel, which is the actual cast. And when you orb them, that's what you actually want to orb to ensure that they won't recast. So here comes the build up, and then that's the part that you would want to stun, this 6-second Nether Storm cast now with an orb or whatever. Now, because mine were moving, I D&D here and I just kite away. You won't have to worry about it. They'll just plant in place now. So as long as they're not on an NPC, just run away from them and you won't have any issues in dealing with the ads whatsoever. Drain life going off again. I make sure that I get the interrupt, and then I'm straight back in and onto Varus. Looking at the eye to make sure I don't get punted away, and then I'm going to build up to 5 stacks of Aura of Decay again, and then I'm going to get out of here. Now, keep in mind, you feel free to use your Asphyxiate and things like that on Varus in phase 1. You may as well. Getting over to this eye, just putting a Blood Boil on it. I Death Caress that back one there just because I got a bit of time to wait. Kill one Nether Horror as it comes out, so I don't have to deal with 4 of them. I kill another one before the other 2 get over here. With the Nether Horrors as well, guys, with the Nether Storm, they generally won't begin that cast until they're somewhat grouped up. So you do have a bit of time if you can get at a portal when they spawn to be able to kill possibly 1 or 2 before you have to deal with them all clumped up together, which means less stacks of Psy Talons, which is less arcane damage from them, and less issues in dealing with their Nether Storm. So this one's going to do a Nether Storm and it's going to run at me. So again, dropping D&D and I run away. Yours won't move again, so you don't have to worry about it. Dodging the smashes from the Infernal here and just trying to get through Varus as quick as I can. Now, phase 1 on Blood DK is very slow compared to something like a Guardian Druid, whereas phase 2 is actually very quick on the DK. So I'm outside here. I'm using my Blood Drinker while I'm waiting for my stacks to drop. I interrupt the Mind Freeze. I'm moving over to a portal where the ads are coming out of. And I'm just going to kill this one horror, dodge that smash. I nearly kill a second one. Nether Storm's going to go off here. I'm going to drop my D&D. And then I'm just going to go into an orb so they don't get to me. And then I'm going to finish them up and I'm moving back into Varus here. So this is the whole of phase 1. And the idea is that you do phase 1 enough where you get to a form of comfort with it where you can start to monitor the other things that are going on. If you're having issues in phase 1 at the moment, don't take that as a I'm shit, I can't do this or anything like that. It is just a game of mass repetition because there's a lot of overwhelming things going on here. But when you simplify, it's actually realistically not that bad. It just doesn't seem that way because you're trying to process everything at once. So ads coming out here, they were all V-lining for me. So I take an orb. In the current situation, you wouldn't even take an orb for that. So there's real advantages now with this hotfix going through where the Nether Horrors are no longer going to move whilst casting Storm. And pretty much the biggest reason in phase 1 for taking orbs was to shut the Nether Horrors down. Now you don't have to worry about that, which is a great advantage to moving into phase 2 with more orbs. Nether Horrors coming out here. I've got 2 Infernals up at the moment. Nether Storm's going to cast again, so I'm going to have to take another orb here to interrupt them. I kill them. One thing you really need to keep an eye on too, guys, is you want to keep an eye on timers whenever you can. And don't get me wrong, it's difficult to do. But DBM have a really good challenge mode package, which is absolutely fantastic. These bars here are all DBM. They're really, really good. And even the Drain Life Inquisitive Heiress, like I got 3 weak auras going. But DBM actually has a really good pack for this. What you want to do is you want to keep an eye when Varus is getting low on your Nether Horrors spawn timer, because what's going to happen is if you push they're called the Nether Aberrations on the timer. So if I go like back here that in terms of telling you what timer to look for, this one here, Nether Aberration. So this is when that's up, that's when the Nether Horrors can spawn. Keep an eye on Varus's health, because the last thing you want to do is push Varus to 0%, have Cruel come down, and then have the Shadow Doors spawn and the Nether Horrors come out and spawn, because having 4 Nether Horrors on Cruel can do a fair bit of damage to you. Now, keep in mind, as I've repeated several times, they do not move whilst casting Netherstorm anymore. If you get to a position where you're in an awkward position with Cruel and they're going to cast Netherstorm, you have to get away really quickly. The reason is that Corvos will be on the tail of Cruel and she will follow you wherever you go with that. If you can get enough distance between the Nether Horrors with you, Cruel, and Corvos won't get melted by the Netherstorm, and you don't have as many issues with that. Now, I had to sink an orb here. The reason that I take an orb is because the ads move. So if they didn't, I wouldn't have to take this orb. This orb here that I take, I did to interrupt this. Don't do this otherwise, because Cruel's all the way over here. Cruel gets disorientated by this orb, and I lose all of that DPS uptime on Cruel by taking this orb. So you won't have that problem, which is fantastic news for you. So here are the cutter beams that I was talking about. So these are introduced into phase 2. Purple beams, they just try and push you off. Try if you can to run around them or just jump over single strands. Don't try and jump over cross axes and things like that, because you'll get pushed multiple directions, which can lead you into infernal smashes, push you away from orbs, or push you into Fellfire. So I'm just trying to get over to Cruel now to start getting some damage onto him. Popping my drums, popping my Potion of Unbridled Fury, and just going ham. So here's the first Annihilate cast. So Annihilate comes out really quickly. Now Annihilate's the big tank buster that we spoke about having management for. So my first one, I've got my Bone Shield stacks, and I'm just going to take the first one with no defensives whatsoever outside of Bone Shield, and no issues, it doesn't hit me too hard. Cruel follows up straight away with Twisted Reflections, which is that heal kick that you need to make sure you kick. So set him as your focus, Twisted Reflection comes up, make sure you kick. That's it. Doors are spawning. I've got 3 Infernals to watch out for in this phase. So I'm trying to get Cruel near a door so I can pick up one of these Infernals in the Horrors, in the hope that they come to me. Now they have not. The Nether Horrors, I picked up one. The others did not came to... God, I can't speak. The others did not come to me. They didn't care, okay? So what happens now is they all go to Valen. Now what you need to do is, if this is your situation, you need to get over and get an orb ASAP before the Netherstorm goes off. Valen will die in about two ticks of a Netherstorm with 3 Horrors around him. Corvus is sitting behind Cruel as well, so keep that in mind if you've ever got Nether Horrors up, either following you or you're taking Cruel through a path that's got Nether Horrors in it. If they're casting Storm, Corvos can get clipped very easily as well. So they're going to cast this Netherstorm. I am going to get over and get an orb ASAP, and then I'm actually going to focus the ads down to try and kill them, because your NPCs will die extremely fast in this phase, and you've worked hard to get here, so don't let it go by letting your NPCs die. Second Annihilate coming out. I use Vampiric Blood on this one, so my orders... my order was supposed to be, the next one was just supposed to be Rune Tap. I take the third one with Icebound Fortitude because I'm not actually going to get a 4th one. So I actually should have taken it with Icebound Fortitude and Rune Tap, though, to be honest. It hits me quite hard. So here comes this Netherstorm here. So again, always keep an eye on the ads here. They're going to Netherstorm here because Corvus is at the back here, and Corvus will get melted really quickly. So if that's the case, straight into an orb unless you can get enough distance away. Dodging these cutter beams. See, I was talking about don't try and always jump the beams. If you can run around them, it's a far better path to go down. So I'm going to grab this orb, and then there's going to be these cutter beams that come from the bottom of the screen. Here they are here. So just trying to run around them and through the gaps rather than jumping over them. Third Annihilate coming in. I'm going to delay it with an orb. I'm going to Cyclonic Blast him. Third Annihilate hit coming now. I'm going to Icebound it. Takes me from 100% health to 13%. Twisted Reflection comes out, interrupt, and he's dead. So that is it. I know that there's a lot going on. I know it seems really overwhelming if you're working on this and things like that, but just keep plowing into it. It's repetition and getting comfortable with the mechanics. You can absolutely do this. If you need any help whatsoever, hit me up in the comments below. Otherwise, come find me in Discord. I'm going to start doing shared screen help sessions. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but if you're happy to come on stream and share your screen, I'm more than happy to sit and talk to you and try and get you through this or get progression into it, as I'd like to see as many people getting this as possible. So thank you very much for checking out the guide, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all next time. See you, fam.